Okay, this entire thing is probably going to be a ramble, but I wanted to finally talk about one of my favorite things that I collect. Pebbles. These are little smartwatches that came out, I think, back in 2012 or 13, or maybe even before that. This is legitimately my first one. It is absolutely wrecked. Um, I actually think this is my second because my first one got sent back to Pebble because of the screen tearing issue that is very common on the first generations of these. But yeah, this is my first generation Pebble. I bought it from Best Buy for $80. The back of it's scuffed to crap and back, and the strap is absolutely dissolved. But this was my first watch. I don't even know if this works anymore. I don't have the charger. But I loved this watch so much that during my time of having it and using it and wearing it, and honestly at the time me and my partner, I ended up getting, or telling her she should get one, and we both had one and would literally just sit here and send emojis back and forth and play the little games on it. That there was a couple little games that had light interconnections, or we would do like scavenger hunts with each other with them. It was really fun. But I had a blast with these things, and I absolutely loved them. I kind of want to get this one repaired and fixed and everything and get it going again. I'll probably do that at some point. I'll either do that or I'll use it to bring life to one of the ones I'll be showing in a second, which is actually out of arm's reach. But after this one, I actually had another Pebble. I'm gonna be putting it on screen, but it does not have the watch band that I had with it because that also dissolved, and the watch band that was on it is one of the reasons that I'm making the video. So, put this to the side right here. Pebble first gen. After that, they released the Pebble Time. This is a color display. I'm not sure if I can. There we go. This is a color display one. Kind of allows you to go through it. The buttons on this do not feel anywhere near as nice, but I'm surprised it still works after so long. This was mine that I got in 2013. I believe it was around then, as a birthday gift from my parents. And I remember this exactly. They didn't feel like wrapping it because actually I think no, they didn't feel like wrapping it. So they put it in a saltines box and just kind of put it in front of me. And I'll be honest with you, I looked at it and I was like, "Oh, I love saltines." So I was like ready to dig into this thing. And I opened it up and there was a inbox Pebble Time in there, and I immediately took my original Pebble off of my watch or off of my wrist and got this one connected up to my phone. And I loved it. I used it so much. The buttons on it honestly feel like crap because of how much I used it, because they're kind of worn down. But this was my Pebble time growing up, and I absolutely loved it to the point where I wore it up until they were bought out by Fitbit. About 2014, they were bought out. It was actually during the Kickstarter for the Pebble 2 and the Pebble Time 2. And I was still looking forward to the Pebble Time 2, and we'll never get it again. But Fitbit bought them out, and because of that, I gained a hatred for years of Fitbit. I don't own any Fitbit products. I guess outside of the Pebble. I don't own anything that Fitbit has ever created. I don't own any of the Pixel watches because Fitbit has a hand in them. I don't own any of that stuff. I've been tempted on times just to buy used of the Versas because I hear they're kind of like a Pebble, but I just couldn't bring myself to do it because in my mind, even as a kid, they killed my favorite smartwatch of all time and led me on a trail of trying to find a new one because eventually they shut all the servers down and we were left scrambling. Just absolutely nuts. But right before they got shut down, I was given one more watch that I own still today. It has had some issues because they all did, but I did end up getting a Pebble 2. This is specifically the heart rate one. So this is the one that's going for some reason $350 on eBay. I have had my buttons replaced. I 3D printed these myself. They do work most of the time. Um, kind of. They work good enough. And honestly, for being 3D printed, they work better than I expected. They kind of look like the original Pebbles buttons. But one thing I was gonna say, I was mentioning earlier, is that there is actually a guy who, because of all the issues with the Pebble buttons on this, they made a case that you could put on this that replaces it with the original Pebbles buttons. And I've thought about doing that, but I think this 3D prints just fine, and I don't need to do that anymore. But they released the Pebble 2. They did actually get it out in stores. This is actually one that I was given from my partner's mother at the time, because she was going to an Apple Watch because Pebble was shutting down, and I loved mine so much that she was just like, "Do you want this?" And I was like, "Yes, I do. I would absolutely love this." And so I ended up with the Pebble 2 from her. And you'll notice, because I can show this now, the screen on this is a lot easier to read than the screen on this when it is dark, because these both have the same clock face on them right now, and you can't even see the Pebble 2 Time 1 unless you tilt it. In person, it's not that bad, but the Pebble original is definitely more visible. But after this got shut down, I was devastated for years and years, because now I had to find a new watch, and I ended up with a TicWatch E that ended up just dying one day sporadically. So I was like, okay, well, what do I do now? Around that time, I learned about something called Rebble, which was a team of fans modded the original Pebble app and allowed you to use your Pebbles again, as if they were as they were back then. They integrated the store. We're gonna ignore my finger. I cut myself. We'll just say me having a pocket knife all the time is probably a bad idea. But they integrated the store. They clock faces. You can pay a subscription of like $3 a month or $12 a year, which is amazing for all the cloud services, like the voice, because you could reply with your voice on these, because they had a little microphone. This one doesn't show it very well because it's 3D printed over, but like the mic on this right there. There's a little microphone on these, and it allows you to kind of talk through them. But Rebble made it to where I could use my watch again. I put on my Pebble Time, because even though I like the Pebble 2, at that time, the buttons had all disintegrated on the side, and I couldn't use it anymore, so I popped on my Pebble Time, and I wore it up until I got what is on a charger right now. Because I had someone at the time, who was a friend, who was worried because of my heart rate. They wanted me to get something to track my heart rate all the time, because I was having a bunch of stress issues. I may or may not have been drinking too much caffeine and a whole bunch of other stuff. That resulted in me ending up with a watch, which is not this one originally. I had the original version of this, but this is what I wear most of the time nowadays. It's kind of funny, because if I'm not mistaken, I have the same watch face as I did back then. Oh, it's not wanting to respond. Of course it isn't. Oh, wait, no, I don't anymore. I have a different watch face now. But the only reason I chose this one was because of reminiscent things of the Pebble. There is a screen that I can see at all times, and it doesn't look like a standard little OLED display. It's a little digital one, but it did too much. I like the fact that I can scroll through like Discord and stuff like that on it, and I can go through all that, but it made me more reliant on it than it was just like, oh, it's an accessory that tells time and can help with my phone stuff, but realistically, it's its own device. This is just a smartwatch on your wrist, like a smartphone on your wrist. And I didn't like that as much growing up, but I grew used to it because of mainly the Discord stuff. And the lack of a subscription needed to run some stuff, because while I understand Rebble needs their stuff, I am a single home living person who works all the dang time and doesn't feel like putting a subscription in. Even though at $12 a year, I really should have been doing it, and I kind of want to do it again. Which is one of the things that I'll be bringing up in just a second, because, like I said, this whole video is going to be a ramble. But I liked my Pebble, and at one point, I decided, you know what? I want them all. Because I had an original, and I had a Pebble Time, I had a Pebble 2. There's two types of Pebbles, three types of Pebbles I never got my hands on, and one of which I still don't own. But as a thing I started back in, I think, 2018, 19, or somewhere around there, I decided I was going to start trying to get more of the Pebbles again. which resulted in, at one point, this. This is a Pebble Time Steel. It is just a metal version of the Pebble Time with much, much better buttons on it. And it's fantastic, honestly. It's got a leather strap if you buy it with one, or it can have a silicone one if you choose. There were 3 colors. There was black, gold, and silver. This is the silver one, obviously. Silver came with a tan band. The gold came with a red band, and black was with a black band. This black band, steel band here, is actually one that was sold for the Pebble Time Steel. And it was fantastic just to have a steel version of what was my favorite Pebble. But I didn't like the tan look of this as much, so I was like, I'm gonna keep looking and looking and looking, and in my search as well, before I ended up finding what I'm kind of settling on, I did find this, which there you can still get these on eBay, and I am keeping the sticker on it for one reason, because this is not just a Pebble Time. This is a Kickstarter edition of the Pebble Time. I have kept this in almost pristine condition. I have kept its plastic on it and everything. Its charger is still in somewhere. I have the box still. I want to get it displayed because I've loved watching the journey of the Pebble and how much people have loved it and tried to keep it going. I mean, what other watch can you think of that whenever things start failing on it, everyone's not just like, oh, this is a piece of crap watch. Instead, everyone's just like, no, we'll 3D print and fix it. But it was so nice to me just seeing all the stuff and having basically the first edition of what really solidified my love for the Pebble, because this is the first one with a microphone, this is the first one with all that stuff, and it was the first one I wore for years and years and went back to and kept wearing and all that. But there was one more Pebble I wanted to try, and I think it's out of my reach real quick. Let me see if I can grab it. I am not a fan of the one I am about to show you guys. I think it works as a Pebble. I think it was necessary to release because of what everything was doing at the time. But they decided to release the Pebble Time Round. It is a circular Pebble Time. The only reason that I do not like this thing is app support. Every app had to be rewritten to work with the circular screen. And a lot of the apps I used did not work on here. Now granted, the big ones I used, like Respire, which is an app that reminds you to take 2 minutes of your time just to relax. It breathes you through breathing instructions and stuff like that. It was really nice to have. A lot of the good ones did have been on there, but like, I go, actually here, I think it's probably on my better show on my actual Pebble Time. I go on here, you've got a whole bunch of other options. Like, I can send Discord messages on here. There's a power nap. A game I played all the time, which my phone's not connected, so I can't grab it, is Pixel Miner, which is just a little cookie clicker like game with the guy digging dirt. And none of that was available on the round because everything had to be remade for it. I did like the fact that it's very, very tiny. Oh gosh, I've been completely missing this. The biggest thing that everyone liked about these, the battery life. This thing lasted a week. These lasted about almost a week. I think it was 3 to 5 days for the original Pebble, or I think maybe even longer than that, because it was. This is a black and white screen. It's a lot harder to see that it is that whenever it's dead. But it was so nice having battery life, and even the Pebble, the Pebble Time. The colored display one was like 3 to 7 days or something like that. I can still get about 4 days out of mine. Even today, like, gosh, like, how many years later is it? Like 7? No, longer than that. Hold on. This is an 11-year-old watch. That hit me a bit ago. The fact that these have been discontinued for 11 years now. So this is actually probably 12 years old. But yeah, I just love these watches, and I'm trying not to rant too much about them, but that's the whole point of this. The Pebble Time Steel had up to 10 days of battery life. The Pebble Time Round was 2 to 3 days. That was all you got out of it. Now granted, compared to these, even though this is one of the most like long battery lives of a watch you can get, this right here, I've had it for a year now, and I'm down to a day. I can get a day of battery life out of it. Meanwhile, these are still kicking it. This can still last me almost a week. These can still last me about 5 days. This can still last me 4. These are still kicking it just fine. This will probably never be able to turn on, because honestly, I don't think it's ever been charged. I really should. But to get to the slight conclusion of why I am making a video on the Pebble. Pebble is back. Google has decided to open source the software. And if you go to, I believe it's repebble.com, I'm going to put whatever the link is actually into the description. You can sign up to be on the wait list for when they re-release the Pebble. They're going to be re-releasing a black, it'll be only the black and white. They're not making a Pebble Time yet. So it'll be like the Pebble 2. They're going to be re-releasing the Pebble in a way where people can purchase it, connect it up with their stuff. They're probably going to help with the Rebble team. They're probably going to use that assistance for it, but we're getting a new Pebble. And in honor of that, this is the last one that I have picked up. This is a Pebble Time Steel in black. I have put the watch band on it because I do not like the metal one. I will be wearing this for the next week and giving my thoughts on it to see if I honestly think I could go back to a Pebble. I know that technically speaking, for the best all-round one, I should be going to the Pebble 2. But I really like the Pebble Time. So I'm going to be wearing this Pebble Time on my wrist for the next week. And I will come back here and tell you guys what I think about it. I have started wearing it on February 9th of 2015, so Sunday. I wore it all day today. I'm recording this that night because I think I can do that. I will bring back what I think about it at the end of the week. I will be having the Rebble subscription for that time so that I can give a proper thoughts on it. But I will be wearing this exact Pebble Time for 1 week and giving my honest thoughts on it. This will be sitting at my house. If I use it, it'll be after the week so that I can more properly assert if I think these are ready. What I think needs to be added, what I think I'll miss from this one, we'll go through the whole thing. So by this time next week, hopefully I remember to upload it. There will be a video telling my thoughts on a Pebble for 1 week. And we'll see what happens then. So, with that said, I'm going to get this on the charger so that it's ready for the week, even though it's almost fully charged. I use this all day, and it's already like 80%. I used it all day. But I'm going to go ahead and get this plugged in and get it ready for the week. With that being said, my name's Pokey. I'll see you guys next week. Peace.